So I say, let's keep it short and sweet.
Hello my darlings, it's Chanel, and today we are doing the short books reading vlog where I read books that are less than 200 pages and that you could read in a day. And today it's the fun-sized horror edition. So the first book that I read was The Night Cyclist by Stephen Graham Jones, and this came in at 29 pages and I thought it was okay. This is about a middle-aged chef who just wants some cardio and maybe a break from chopping onions. But his late night bike ride turns into tour de terror. 1 minute, he's pedaling home. The next, he's face to face with a supernatural horror that makes potholes and bad drivers look like the least of his problems. Turns out, vampires don't care about reflective wear, but they do need road snacks. Our main character starts off the book by getting busted cheating and being left by his lady, understandably so, and then he ends up getting a huge dude bro crush on a night rider who majorly outpaces him. The book is mostly about mortality, aging, the limits of the human body, and shared interests, with some light murder thrown in. I honestly believe that I think the intended audience is middle-aged chefs who ride bikes. I had a hard time relating, and yeah, it was okay. It just didn't do a whole lot for me. I also didn't find it particularly scary. The next book I picked up is Triquetra by Kirsten McDermott, and this clocked in at 43 pages, and this was a 5-star read. Triquetra takes the happily ever after fairy tale and sets it on fire. Snow White is no longer the innocent girl in the glass coffin. She's a wife, a mother, and still chained to the poisoned love-hate bond with her stepmother. Every month, she pays a ritual visit, promising elaborate theatrical murders that never quite come to pass. Meanwhile, the enchanted mirror lurks, a malevolent reminder of the power struggle that first twined their lives together. This turns the familiar fairy tale rivalry into a gothic pas de deux. Two women circling one another, bound by obsession, resentment, and a warped intimacy that refuses to die. This is a deliciously dark and unsettling Snow White retelling. The author dismantles the clean binaries of fairy tales. It is no longer innocent versus evil, victim versus a villain. It is 100% ambiguous and muddled. The main theme in this would be cycles of violence. The monthly rituals that Snow engages with, promising to murder her stepmother, mirrors the way trauma itself repeats. Each encounter escalates but never resolves. I also really loved the triquetra and sort of the triple goddess association with the mother maiden crone element. It was very claustrophobic, gothic, and tender, and it's proof that fairy tales don't just end, they mutate. I do have to give a warning. There is a child predator element, but there is no on-page essay. However, they do state that Snow White was actually 7 when she was in the coffin, which is true to the original fairy tale. So the prince ain't that charming, but I thought it was fantastic and I would definitely read more of this author's retellings. There were some other elements in there that I don't want to spoil, but it's not just evil stepmother and stepdaughter going on. The next book I read is The Girl, the Priest and the Devil by Theo Placides, illustrated by Stasha Gaspar. This clocked in at 128 pages. I thought this was good. Hello, Sylvie. Poor Daphne just wants to mourn her brother, dodge her cranky dad, and maybe daydream about leaving her backwater life. But her dad is mourning his son by blaming his daughter. The villagers treat her like expired yogurt. And when she finally catches a lucky break, shiny patch of gold, hurrah, the devil immediately pops up and is like, actually, that's mine, sweetheart. This is a bleak fairy tale where poverty, patriarchy, and Satan himself all team up against one teenage girl. And what follows is a grim fairy tale with the moral. If you live in Ottoman Greece, don't expect kindness, happy endings, or a financial aid package. You'll probably just get quartered, humiliated, and shaken down by the priests in the mountains. The story threads biblical echoes, folk tales, and rural superstitions together. It asks, who really owns the land and the soul? The church, the devil, or the people? As a Pontian Greek descendant of the lucky few who survived the Pontic genocide committed by the Ottoman Empire, seeing on page what happened to my favourite character in this who was a rebel was very hard to stomach. And historically, Greek resistance movements against the Ottomans, like the Klefs and the Armatoloi, operated in the mountains. As this is a graphic novel, the illustration style palette leans very earthy and muted. You've got browns, olives, ochres, and stone greys dominating the rural life scenes, evoking dust, toil, and decay. The art is grim, but it's grim because it's showcasing the human story of poverty and cruelty. I was hoping for just a little bit more. I felt like it ended quite abruptly. It was the pacing was a bit strange, and the arc of the book happened unexpectedly, and then the story was done. So that is why it ended up being just a good read for me. And then I read Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. Now this is 208 pages, but it's a graphic novel with very few words on the page, so I think it's fine. And I thought this was good. It is a collection of macabre short stories. It's like if fairy tales were told by your weird cousin around the campfire who definitely knows where the bodies are buried. Brides hear creepy singing walls. Brothers return with sus red faces. Neighbors' houses eat you alive. And best friends keep secrets that probably involve ghosts. Oh, and that cave in the woods? Yeah, don't go in there. Unless you want your skin to be worn like a winter jacket. Basically, this is bedtime stories for people who want to sleep with their lights on. The color palette in this graphic novel was very limited and bold, so each story leans heavily on a few dominant colors. You have blood reds, inky blacks, spectral blues, candlelit yellows, and shadowy grays. The illustrations were storybook but corrupted. Childlike innocence meets nightmare. The art felt whimsical and delicate and then plunges into grotesque imagery. I thought it was well done. However, the stories ended abruptly. Okay, just when the stuff was getting good, they're like, that's all, folks. And I'm like, what do you mean, bitch? Can't just do a mic drop moment and then peace out. But that's what the book did. That's what the book did. So everything was building up. There's a reveal and then it's done. We don't get to see what happens after. We don't know what happens to the characters that we were following the entire time. So this felt like a bit of a cock tease. You know, I was just giving you a sample, a free little sample, and then saying, there's no more. That's it. You get one taste. Done. So that was disappointing. I think this could have been absolutely phenomenal for just giving us a little bit more, guys, a bit more than a morsel. But I still thought it was good. And let me give you a TLDR of all of the books I read for this reading blog. We have Triquetra by Kirsten McDermott. Snow White grows up, gets a family, and spends her free time threatening to murder her stepmom every month. This is a fairy tale therapy session gone very wrong. Then we had The Night Cyclist by Stephen Graham Jones. A tired chef hops on the bike to clear his head after a long shift, only to discover the midnight cycling lanes come with bonus vampires. Forget endurance training, this ride's all about survival. We have The Girl, the Priest, and the Devil by Theo Presides, illustrated by Stasha Gaspar. In Ottoman Greece, a poor girl loses her brother, gets blamed by her daddy, mocked by her village, and when she finally stumbles upon some gold to change her fate, the devil shows up to collect rent. And then finally we have Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. Through the Woods is fairy tales gone feral. Don't go in the house. Don't trust your husband. And definitely don't follow your brother into the woods. These short books prove one thing, that chaos comes in fun-sized packages. Case in point, thanks for watching, and maybe sage your house, just in case. Today's fragrance is Witching Hour by Demeter. It contains amber, blood orange, and vanilla orchid. This is a bewitching twilight moment where warmth and mystery entwine. A scent for those who want to hold the night close, wrapped in velvet and flame, with just a hint of mischief. This smells like the movie Hocus Pocus. So if you love that movie and you want to wrap yourself in its scent, this is for you. I would call this a unisex scent. The book that I am pairing with this is The Witches by Roald Dahl, a beloved children's classic filled with dark humor and clever witches plotting mischief. It's spooky but playful and perfect for all ages. No, I have not seen the remake with Anne Hathaway. Angelica Houston slaughtered it and will forever be my witch queen. Those were all of the short little books I read for today's vlog. I don't have any activities planned because it's my birthday. Not yet. It's my daughter's slumber party today, so I've got all these girls coming to wreak havoc in my little home. So I've got to leave you here. And until next time, get shorty, Star Child.
For my daughter for her birthday. Yum, yum, yum. Blue's hiding from the balloons. Bluebell, are you scared of the balloons? They're a little bit scary, aren't they? Yeah, you just hide in the cave, honey. She's surrounded.
You tried to make it short and sweet.